Rural Radio, SiriusXM 147, inside your radio. He's outside the barrel. It's Flint Rasmussen.
Welcome back to the big show and the big weekend. Getting ready to spend the weekend in Arlington, Texas. A little bit warmer weather. And happy to have, once again, we thought we were going to go monthly with Mason, but it's more every 2 months with Mason. But out on the road, checking in from the road, filling us in on wackos, controversy, whatever the case may be. It's our old buddy, Damian Mason. How are you, Damian?
Thank you so much for bringing me back to Outside the Barrel. I was so far outside the barrel, I thought that maybe I was never going to get back even close to the barrel.
Well, once you step out of the barrel, you just got to maintain an orbit. You got to stay in the circle, man. You got to stay there. First things first.
Have you told
go ahead.
Listeners, the way this happened is that I'm sitting there watching the PBR from Kansas City, and I'm watching it, and my wife says, "When's the last time you were on with Flint?" And I said, "That's a good question." Then she said, "Why are they not showing more of a Flint on TV?" Which is what got this whole thing rolling. I put it out on Twitter, and a bunch of our followers, mutual followers, agree they get better ratings if they showed a little less bull and a little more Flint on the PBR.
You're like my mother. When I don't get on TV, you texted me and said, "Hey, do you not work for the PBR anymore?" That's how little I am on TV. But you did get a little feedback, didn't you? You got some. I observed the responses to your tweet that you actually said a little less bull, a little more bull visitors, if you will. I will say this. It airs as the live show's different. When it airs on TV, it's a sporting event on a sports network. So it's sort of like how they don't show the mascot very often. But I'm more than a mascot, aren't I? Don't you think I'm more?
Actually, one of the things that I didn't put on Twitter, I was going to say, they give him an hour of exposure on radio and almost no exposure on TV. Clearly, he has a face for radio.
Face for radio. Exactly right. Exactly. You are out on the road. You and I communicate before you come on the show all the time, and you mentioned something about shows going wrong, which you and I share thoughts. I can completely relate when shows go wrong. Earlier this week, you said something about a show going wrong. Do tell.
You have these nightmares when you are in the business that you and I are in. And for your listeners that don't remember last time I was on, I go and do comedic commentary presentations at agricultural events all over North America. Clearly, your listeners know that you are humor and music relief at professional bull riding events.
Right.
So there's an element of you want everything to go right because you feel an obligation to your audience because this is how you make your living, and you stay up at night, you think about, you wake up sometimes in the night going, God, I'm glad that it was just a dream, because I had a dream that I was on stage and nobody was listening and the sound system was terrible and everybody was drunk, and I was up there trying to do my set and nobody was even realized I was on stage. That's usually just been a dream until last night in Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh no, were they drunk or were they not listening or were you naked? What was the deal?
Everything except for me being naked, and toward about the 30-minute mark of my show, I thought, since this is already a bad dream, I might as well just go ahead and take my pants off so it'll complete the entire, cross off everything else on the list. I didn't, by the way. I did not take off my pants.
No, there. You still there?
I'm still here. Do we have a little problem? Are we all right?
Well, yeah, Damian, sorry. I completely, my portable studio connects internet. And all of a sudden, you were gone, and I looked, and it was red lines, which means it completely went out.
When they say you redline, Shannon came on, and I thought to myself, wait a minute. When you say redline, I'm like, did Flint just have a heart attack?
Oh, no, not funny. Yeah, no, that's happened before.
That would be bad. I did take my pants off, but it would have completed the bad dream. You've had bad dreams where you're out there and you're doing your material, you're doing what it is you do for a living, and everything goes wrong. Everything was going wrong. Sound system, drunk audience, half an audience, room not right, room not full, people not paying attention. getting louder because you can't talk over a loud, bad audience. Every single thing about it except, and I mean, in 23 years of this, I've been on stage where the power went out in the building to where it was as dark as midnight. I've had wacky people run up on stage and disrupt me. I mean, over the years, you have a lot of stuff. You know, audiences, when you're starting out doing comedy, that are so drunk they can't see you on the stage.
Well,
this one,
what was the demo here? What was your audience that caused them to not be as good as most audience? Tell me, can you reveal the group of people that you were playing to here?
it was an agribusiness association, and they normally would be my perfect demo. In fact, several people in the room have seen me before. Problem was room setup and room acoustics and bad sound system. Plus, when you only got 1/3 of an audience and then they can't hear you, and it's after cocktail time, they'll give you 30 seconds and then they will check out and not even pay attention.
Oh, that's the worst. It's the room setup, sound systems. Yeah, you walk in and look, and you just know. It's not going to go well.
No, I was at a PBR event that you obviously were working, and there was a bull injury in Phoenix last year. And you talk about all the things that you can do, all the things that I can do to hone our craft and deliver for our audience. But I can't control room setup as much as I try to, and you can't control a bull injury. And it's the same thing where it just puts a real dark spot on the entire event. You know, everybody says, "Oh, well, you still got paid." Yeah, but I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, people always say, "Oh, it pays the same." Oh, poor you. But I think you would agree. The reason we do what we do, whether it's radio or a graduation speech or an FFA conference or a PBR, the reason we do what we do is because we feel like we can make a difference. We feel like we can make people's day better, and we want that self-satisfaction. And when that self-satisfaction is not there, it's pretty dang frustrating, isn't it?
People always say, what's your best audience or what's your worst event in 23 years of being on a stage, comedically, commentating, whatever. There's not one that's best, or maybe one that's worse, but I can tell you that when you go to bed at night after the adrenaline wears off, you're like, man, we rocked that one. Because you know that you were on, your timing was good. I remember, if you watch professional basketball players, Flint, they say, yeah, you ever notice that when you're in that zone and that basketball rim looks like it's as big around as a pickup truck bed and everything's going in? There's when you're in your zone and everything's just clicking, and then there's where you can't pull. You have every trick in your pocket. And I know you have tricks and I have tricks, things you go to. Steve Martin once said that on the Johnny Carson show, his first appearance, Johnny Carson said, son, you're going to use everything you've ever learned to be successful in this business. And you and I both know what he's talking about, because there's nights when you pull out every last little trick you have to keep that crowd juiced.
That's right. Well, listen, I want to talk a lot more. I want to talk about protesting radicals. The Westminster Dog Show ended this week, and we're going to cover that a little bit. Damian Mason is with us, one of our favorite not a commentator. He's just an advocate, man. He's with us right after this, Outside the Barrel.
Trying to avoid redlining inside your radio, outside the barrel, Flint Rasmussen.
We don't redline. No redlining. Damian Mason with us out on the road, making sure he doesn't take his pants off in front of crowds. Doesn't like the room that's a third full and bad sound systems. Westminster Dog Show ended this week. Before I get to the results of the show, are we living in a way higher protesting society, or do we just have more access to see protesters? Because when I look, Damian, I just feel like everything is protested. We're paying protesters, every topic that comes up. Is it way more than it used to be, or do we just see it more?
It's way more than it used to be, because the more affluent a society becomes, the more the residents of said affluent society have free time and the desire to get satisfaction by advocating for a cause. So 50 years ago, you and I are, just about not quite born. So, you and I are roughly the same age. There was protests in the Vietnam War, protests of this. But now when you can have people that are, we're not talking about the Vietnam War and napalm and Agent Orange. We're talking about showing up at Whole Foods to protest where the kumquats came from. we're talking about protesting a dog show, not a dog fight, not a dog butchering, not a dog torture, a dog
show.
Because they can seek fulfillment. You figure, and I really believe it's this, and that's why I shared that thing with you on Twitter.
Yes.
That we have a group of people that they're well fed, might even be well educated, and it's a permanent protest class. Great example. If they protested coal. It used to be they protested coal because coal was bad for the environment. Well, coal went away in large part because of the economics of natural gas. So it's like, wow, man, what do I protest now? Oh, I'm going to protest the pipeline. And if the pipeline goes away, then it'll be I'm protesting asphalt shingles on people's houses. I mean, it's going to be some ridiculous things that the protest cause. The cause needs the cause is kind of how it works.
Yeah. Well, you posted and forwarded to me a video on YouTube, and it's by PETA and a KKK member, and this is, I'm just telling what they produced. KKK member comes in feeling at home in this, what's the organization? It's about breeding dogs, the Kennel Club. The Kennel Club.
The American Kennel Club. And the idea there is, and your fans can see it, I put it out there, and if they want to keep up at Damian Mason or at Flint Ras, they can check out the video. It was produced several years ago. Essentially, what that does, because PETA is not about ethical treatment of animals, they're about no animals. They don't want you to have meat. They don't want you to eat eggs. They don't want you to be able to put cheese next to your wine. And they really don't want you to have a dog. Nor does the Humane Society of the United States. They don't want there to be a rodeo. They don't want there to be a PBR circuit. But they don't even – this is how radical these groups are, and they get closer to mainstream acceptance. If you told the average American, hey, this group doesn't want you to have a dog, they'd say, no, that's not right. They just don't want you to mistreat your dog. Well,
nope.
They're increasingly pushing the envelope to where anything that you or I would accept, they're pushing off as abusive. That commercial is the point. A KKK member comes into an American Kennel Club meeting and feels right at home because, after all, the American Kennel Club is pushing for breed standards. They want the Boston Terrier to be of a certain composition, and they want the Irish Setter to be of a certain size, type, and color. And animal rights radicals can't stand the idea that man is breeding canines.
But a German Shepherd wins. The German Shepherd, a real dog, won the Westminster Dog Show. Not a mop, not a hairless, rat-looking thing, but a German
That rat-looking thing grossed me out. Your listeners right now, a lot of these wonderful Western sports fans, they like Australian Shepherds. They like Border Collies. Those are real dogs, bred with a purpose to go out and do work, help the man and wife run their ranch. I like real dogs. That picture, thank goodness they picked an Irish Setter for the second runner-up and a German Shepherd for the best show. One of the contenders was Chucky. Did you see Chucky the Pekingese?
I didn't see Chucky. No, I didn't see Chucky. Wait, maybe
Okay,
I did.
well,
was that the little Harry the Mop thing?
Yes. So my point is, I put on social media, I don't know what you do with a Pekingese. For me, I would spray it down with Pledge and let it walk around on my wood floors.
Hey, I don't want to run out of time without getting to this. Is there anything proven? Is there any research done to prove that celebrities live way longer than us normal people with their goofy diets? That they're lactose intolerant, or they're vegans, or are they living longer, or what's the hype here? And why is it that people with lots of money have all these maladies that they can't control, that they got to change their diet?
First off, the more it's amazing. You'll notice the wealthier a person becomes, the more dietary issues they seem to have. So if you want to be able to eat truck stop hot dogs like I do, stay poor. Because once you become rich, apparently You have time to discover your gluten intolerance, your lactose intolerance, your inability to ingest peanuts. It becomes remarkable to me. And your first point, Flint, about celebrities living longer, I've always found it funny. Hollywood, they have the biggest problem of people dying of drug and alcohol problems. And you want to tell them, guys, it's not eggs or GMO corn that's causing your problems. I swear to you, you'll live forever if you just eat eggs and GMO corn. It's the heroin that's giving you the problem.
It's the heroin. Exactly. Are you, speaking of things wrong, are you really colorblind?
I am colorblind, and I point out to everybody, we make exceptions. I can't get, and you've got this problem also. We travel around the country. Sometimes I just want peanuts on a cross-country flight. I can't get peanuts. You know that only 2% of America is allergic to peanuts. I did a gig for the Peanut Association. 2%. As I point out all the time, Flint, you and I can live with 2% less people on Delta Airlines, okay? More elbow room for the both of us.
Who sets out your clothes for you to wear?
Okay, my wife picks out my clothing. I point out that nobody makes exceptions for me. We've got to not let you and I eat peanuts because of 2% of the population. Everybody and their sister is convinced they're going to die from gluten when only 0.7% of America actually has celiac disease, which is the gluten problem.
My mom has it. My mom is extreme.
Okay,
celiac.
now she has celiac disease. She's the true 0.7%.
Yes.
But here's the thing. Nobody makes exceptions for me, and I'm colorblind. Everybody says, Damian, colorblindness can't kill you. 8% of American males are red-green colorblind, Flint. And what color did society make the stoplights?
Red and green. It'll kill you every time, buddy.
You think it can't kill you. You know what? My wife picks out my clothes. Let me just tell your listeners, if they ever are in one of my audiences, don't come up to me and say, hey, you're colorblind. What color is this? What color is that? I tell everybody, dude, do you do this to the deaf people in your life?
It's not funny, except I'm laughing at you.
Yeah, well, you should laugh. That was funny. Anyhow, dig this. Last bit of advice for your listeners. If they have a colorblind son, because it's an X recessive gene, generally only affects males. 8% of American males are colorblind. If you have a colorblind son, ladies, mothers, fathers, do not encourage him to become an electrician. Very, very bad advice. Very, very bad advice.
Or a bomb or an explosive engineer. D2, whatever. Hey, listen, buddy, it's always good to talk to you. Thanks for all the great advice and information. Drive safe out there and check in when you have another crappy crowd, okay?
Thank you very much, Flint Rasmussen. Always good to be on Outside the Barrel at Damian P. Mason. Keep up with me as you keep up with him on Twitter or at DamianMason.com. I love you guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Damian. Talk to you soon. Okay, buddy. Damian Mason, ag commentator. And lo and behold, he's colorblind. We're going to wrap up the hour right after this on Outside the Barrel.